Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 132 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So when you start to feel disengaged, stressed, or burned out at work or in your personal life, it often causes you to pause. You start to wonder, what's the point of doing this work? Or what's the point of living this way? Especially when the never-ending to-do list keeps growing and the problems keep piling up. We start to lose our motivation for sustaining life in this way. And this is when we ask ourselves the question, what's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with the way I'm living? Essentially, we want to know why life just doesn't feel quite right. And this is often due to a disconnection between who we are and who we are when we are working. Whether your work revolves around your personal life or family or revolves around a business and organization, it's the same. We want to bring our whole selves to work. And today's podcast is about the ways we can begin to be more whole even in our work. Bringing your whole self to work can often be seen as a privilege. Who are we to think that we should be our best versions of ourselves at work? Isn't work just a place to work? Why are we asking our work to be an extension of who we are? And this is all true to some extent. In the beginning of your working life, you'll be working just to make ends meet and to sustain yourself or others. You're working to gather resources and to share them with others. Work isn't who you are, it's a means to an end. At some point, however, we become more engaged with our work. We start to think about the next level of engagement. We think about our work as an extension of our identity. It becomes a career, and it may even become a vocation where you start to have more interests beyond yourself. You think about what you can do to give back. Yet, what's the gap between the place where we're just working and paying the bills and the place where we're feeling fulfilled and as if we're sharing our gifts? That involves bringing your whole self to work. This includes diving into your inner life and into your connection to yourself. Self-awareness is the first step to being able to bring your whole self to work. If you don't know who you are, what you need, and what your gifts or strengths are, it will be hard for you to identify if your work fulfills those aspects of yourself. When I first began thinking about a job, it was about creating structural stability. What is a secure job? Where can I get paid a decent wage? Then it became more about learning, about growth, about advancing to another level. And my level of awareness of my strengths and weaknesses were lower in the beginning of my career journey than they were later. So as you learn more about who you are as a person, you learn more about who you are in the way you work. It's one and the same. You might not even be conscious of the way that you want to feel differently about yourself and your work. Right now, things might just feel off. You know when something doesn't feel right in your body, but the difference is now you're thinking that perhaps you can actually do something about it. What makes you feel authentic in your work and your personal life is when you feel congruent with what you know. If you know, for example, that yelling at others isn't the best way to do work, yet you are in an environment where that is occurring, you'll often feel like you want something to change. And this is what I mean about authenticity and your whole self. It's about an awareness of you in the context of the environment. It's about letting go of your personal preferences and seeing more objectively that this is or is not a good fit for you. It's also about saying to yourself, why don't I be more honest with myself and others around me? I often think about the times in my life where I hide things that feel very subtle, and this looks like changing the music you listen to because you're embarrassed about what others would think. This looks like not talking about topics that you find fascinating. So even in our work, we do have a space to be ourselves. This can look like knowing the way we work best. It can look like acknowledging that others may work differently. This can look like sharing that we have priorities in our personal lives that might be different from other people's priorities. This can look like knowing that your failures, even at work, don't represent who you are as a person, but who you are as a person trying to do this one activity or this one thing that is in front of you. And the beautiful thing about understanding how we connect to ourselves at work is that we can then disconnect ourselves and our worth from our work. When we feel safe to be seen as who we are, whether it's the style of communication or your interests and passions, we will then feel safe to make work less about us. It's a paradox. We don't need work to become everything in our lives. We see ourselves as whole people outside of our roles, outside of the responsibilities that we have. And I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human existence. So when we are able to be whole beings, we are able to find more space in our lives, in our work, to feel freedom. And we find freedom because we can select which parts of ourselves to bring to work. We can find freedom because we don't have to bring parts of ourselves to work that we haven't yet figured out. We can find freedom because we see ourselves as imperfect human beings learning in Earth School and finding meaning in the ways we live our lives, which include our work. And work is this microcosm of the identities we want to inhabit, the impressions we want to make, the beliefs we hold about ourselves, and that which others hold of us. And all of this can be traced back to our own decisions of how we want to see ourselves in our work. If you decide that work is for you a spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional pursuit, it will be. If you decide that work is an extension of who you are and it is effortless, it is. And all of these require decisions that break the mold of what you have to do versus what is best for everyone involved. You, at your highest potential, is when you can add the most value. When you feel you can bring all sides of you to work, you will access more experiences, more wisdom, more determination. You will see more opportunities. You will utilize your time here with more impact. It doesn't mean you have to access all parts of you at work. It just means that you can. And you're able to do it knowing this is what is for the highest good for everyone involved. When we feel scared or worried, we get into that fight or flight or freeze zone. And our field of vision closes in. Our options look limited. And we don't become our best versions of ourselves at work. And when I coach clients on these topics, it will often look like deciding to not be so stressed at work. Bringing your whole self to work includes bringing your more resourceful version of yourself into play. We've been conditioned to think that we must be stressed to produce great results, yet that's not the case. You can bring in your sense of discernment, your humor, love, compassion, your determination, and help you solve problems, all of them in a more neutral way. When we're not as stressed, we actually have better results, and it's also more sustainable. And this means that bringing your whole self to work can look like bringing in knowledge of what fuels you, what motivates you, what sustains you, whether it is a physical practice, how much you need to eat or move your body or sleep, or how many breaks you need. And being able to have a connection with yourself that leaves you with the space to help others around you allows you then to do your best thinking. And I remember when I knew I wasn't bringing my whole self to work and when I was. And I remember someone saying to me that they were excited that I was going to be able to utilize my passions. And I just had this almost visceral reaction to that statement. One that was like leaning away from it. Like, no, I'm a serious person doing serious work. It can't be tied to passions or fun. And in that moment, I saw myself edging away and kind of trying to let go of that part of me. that felt like doing something where I had a lot of natural interest and curiosity was wrong. That the struggle was necessary for success. And I understood for a long time that in order for me to actually experience something different in my life, I couldn't just change the work. I had to change my relationship with myself, what I made success mean and what I tied to success. I had to change what my quote unquote whole self looked like. And in many cases, it couldn't just be in my head. I had to get to know what that self even was without the need to do or be a certain way for others to approve of or value me. And this is what brought me back to understanding my spirituality in a deeper way. Beyond rituals or religions, I had to ask myself, well, what do I believe about the world? How can I be authentically myself anywhere, let alone at work, if I was trying to solve problems through distracting myself, whether it be through trying to attain the next goal or plan for the next thing? And I was asking myself, can I be okay right here, right now, being who I am right now? And that question was so simple, yet so disarming. And this meant that I had to dissociate myself from the things I did. I had to love myself unconditionally, no matter what I did or didn't do. I had to accept everything and not try to escape it. And it brought me back to what I feel like is ground zero, that place where I begin and the place where I end. And from this place, things look more neutral. From this place, I can be whoever I need to be. From this place, I can be curious. I can ask questions. And bringing my whole self to work wasn't about what I wore or the music I listened to, although I did start, like I said, with even just that. It became about the quality of person I was, no matter what I did and where I went. To be one person to everyone, including myself. And this is what has brought me the most inner peace, the most satisfaction, that deep sense of joy. The sense that there is no one else to be but me. In all of my imperfections, in all of my struggles, there is no shape-shifting required. There is only the effortless action that comes from really seeing things as they are and trying to help, trying to serve for the highest good for all. And this practice of bringing one's whole self is just that. It's a practice. We see how throughout the course of our day, our weeks, our months, our years, we run away from ourselves. We see how we try to distract ourselves. We try to be so busy so we don't sit alone with our thoughts. We don't want to connect because there's nothing to connect to. Yet I would offer that there is. Beyond the place of judgment, which is often the first wall we climb, there is non-judgmental awareness. There is presence. There is a sense of being okay that allows you to feel deeply alive, grateful, and that you're supposed to be here on this planet right here, right now. And my wish is that we all help each other climb those walls of judgment to see that there is something worth connecting with and to. That even the connection with ourselves is worth getting to know. And we are worth learning about, and we are worth helping out from time to time, and we are worth being seen as we are in and outside of our work. So if you feel called to explore these topics in more detail, you will love spiritual achievement coaching, where we work to develop your intuition and your energy so that you can achieve your spiritual, personal, and business goals with spiritual fuel. I invite you to join me by reaching out at www.mayemson.com/contact. So that is it for this week, my friends. I hope you have an amazing one, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.